Welcome back to the King Films Locks for Week 11, and my goodness, this season has flown by in a hurry, but we are up to 13 units up on the year, a new all-time high for us this season. So let's get right into it with a recap of last week, and we started out with 2 game predictions, but no lock. Georgia against Missouri, great game there. Georgia just pulls it out at the end. They just do not make the mistake that will just give the other team the game. You've got to take it from them, and no one has done that so far. Texas A&M Ole Miss, another great matchup. Ole Miss, some great uniforms there. You might see those in our uniforms video I will make later this season, but Ole Miss gets it done there in a close one there. Then Notre Dame, Clemson, we hit our first 2 unit of the year. We had Clemson plus 3.5. That was our free lock of the week as well, but we put 2 units on it. We get Clemson to win outright there, so we start 2-0 there. USC against Washington at home, we had USC plus 4.5. This one got down to about plus 3 at game time, but USC was unable to capitalize on a late field goal forced by Washington. They actually end up turning it over on 2 straight possessions. One was a punt at the end of the game, so they can't not cover, even backdoor there. And then a horrendous beat, Ohio State at Rutgers. Rutgers led by 2 at half. Ohio State scores just with 2 minutes to go to make it 19 points. You really cannot make that up. And we catch a horrible one there. Then we had Kansas State against Texas. Kansas State was down early. They come back to get within 4.5. I do not agree with their decision to go for it in overtime. I think that Malik Murphy was playing really bad at that point. I think they could have pulled it out in second OT, especially with the ball first. But Kansas State does cover there because they lose by 3, and then Pitt easily covers 21.5. It was a little bit of a sweat at the end there, but Pitt was the right side in that one. Then second page of locks, we had Maryland plus 11.5. This one got down to plus 6 or 7 at game time, but Penn State just blows up Maryland. 4 turnovers to 0, I believe. That's not going to win or even get you close. In a game like that, we're unable to capitalize on the spread movement. Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, we had Oklahoma State plus 6. They win outright in Bedlam there. Second straight week fading Oklahoma outright, and it has worked. Kansas at Iowa State. Kansas pulls away from Iowa State there. LSU at Bama. Bama outscores LSU, and I was very surprised by the offensive output in this one. Alabama gets it done against a good LSU team, but Alabama's really starting to find their stride on offense here. Miami at NC State. NC State runs away with it. The turnovers again get to Miami, and NC State capitalizes and wins outright. Then we also had Arizona outright against UCLA. They cover and win that game as well. And then we had James Madison, Georgia State as our last lock. Georgia State plus 6 does not cover for us. James Madison moves on to 9-0, still undefeated. And then Oregon State, we had them on the road at Colorado, just winning, no betting lock there. So here are the picks that we sent out to the Discord, just to show you guys what format they come in if you are to subscribe to the Discord. And then once again, our betting locks record, we are up 13 units on the year. So be sure to subscribe to the Discord. We have won 5 units in the last 2 days. College football is rolling, NFL is rolling, and college basketball is starting up today. We have a lot of action lined up for that. So go to the Discord. Our free picks are hitting, and click on that link in the top right now. So without further ado, let's get into this week's games. Michigan at Penn State, let's get it started. And this one has massive ramifications. I'm kind of surprised game day chose to go to Ole Miss, Georgia, but we've got Penn State in this one. I know it sounds shocking. Michigan's dominated everyone. They won't have Penn State signs in this one, presumably, but I like Penn State to get it done. I think Michigan is the better team on a neutral site, but I think Penn State will be able to wear them down. Singleton, maybe Drew Waller gets it done through the air. If they can win or tie the turnover battle, I think they win outright. The spread's pretty tight here. It's moved up recently to Penn State about plus 6, but we'll see what happens there. I like Penn State to win outright. We'll see if they can make enough plays. Michigan has looked dominant on both sides of the ball, and quite frankly, they have been, but they haven't played anybody. We'll see if they're really up to it today. Tough task in Happy Valley in that one. Then our free lock of the week, Alabama at Kentucky. Alabama coming off a great win. We had them in that game, but now we're going to fade them. Kentucky plus 11 at home in Kroger Field. Georgia blew them up, but I think the home field makes a difference here. They just surrendered to Tennessee at home. I like Kentucky to bounce back here. against Bama. I think Ray Davis can get it going on the ground. Devin Leary has started to play better. He did in that Tennessee game. Maybe Devin Leary can get it going with his legs, as that Bama defense was just giving up all sorts of stuff to LSU. Kentucky isn't as potent as LSU, especially not through the throwing game, but maybe they can get that way in this game. I like Kentucky to keep it close. I think Alabama will win, but I'll take the extra candy in the week after Halloween. Give me Kentucky plus 11 there. Then Texas Tech, Kansas. I'm going to take Kansas just because they're at home. They were able to get it done on the road against Iowa State last week. We'll see if Jalen Daniels plays, but even if it's Bean, I'd like them to narrowly win. But I could see this one going out either way. Texas Tech always has a chip on their shoulder and is going to make it tough for a Kansas team that can't afford to coast, trying to make a bid for the Big 12 championship game. Then we have a massive rivalry game, Miami at Florida State and Doak Campbell. If this was at Miami, maybe I'd change my pick, but this time going with Florida State. Keon Coleman to Jordan Travis combo is just too much. I think Miami would have to win the turnover battle in this game to win, obviously. Van Dyke in that passing game has not been as potent in recent weeks. They played a lot of close games, probably are about 500 in those close games, including that brutal loss to Georgia Tech. But I like Florida State here. Spread's about 15. I think Miami could go inside that, but I'm not going to bet it because if this isn't a game, then that could get out of hand. So I like Florida State to get it done there in that rivalry game. Then Utah at Washington. I'm going to take Washington despite Utah bouncing back with 55 points against Arizona State. I don't know if they can do that on the road. This Washington defense was no good, though. Arcade numbers were being put up in that USC-Washington game, but I think they will be able to stop Utah enough. Washington's offense, quote-unquote, got right, but who knows? Defense usually travels. This one could be close. I like Washington to win it, though, at home. And then Tennessee, Missouri. Another great match for what seems to be second in the SEC East. Missouri can't win the SEC East. Tennessee needs to win out, have Ole Miss beat Georgia this week, and then they are in. So I like Missouri. Even though both teams have plenty to play for, I like Missouri on the bounce back going home. Gave Georgia a great game. Obviously, haven't seen Tennessee against Georgia yet. Cook and Luther Burden need to get going again. Tennessee probably can be had in the air, so we'll see what happens here. It's going to be a very interesting matchup, but I like Missouri to outgain Tennessee's offense. Tennessee has scored a boatload of points in the past 2 weeks at Kentucky and then against UConn at home. But I like Missouri to put a stop to that, especially on the road here. Second page, we've got Oklahoma at UCF, and I'm going to actually take UCF. Got a narrow 2-point win at Cincinnati last week. I think they've got the monkey off their back there. I think returning home, the fans will be up for a ranked opponent. I think UCF wins and probably storms the field here. We'll see what happens. But Ollie Gordon is just a prodigy for this Oklahoma State team. I think UCF can stop him. This UCF team has been decent against the run this season. They've had some late collapses. We'll see if they can keep the ball close and not turn it over. But I like UCF to win this one. I think it's a bit of a hangover spot for Oklahoma State after such a big win last week. Then Iowa, Rutgers, the spread's about 1. These teams are both pretty similar. I think Iowa will win here. Just barely, maybe 10-7 again. But Iowa has just shown nothing on offense this whole season. Rutgers started to get it going last week, but I think Iowa's defense might be a little bit better than Ohio State's, or if it's the same, Iowa just has to not really turn the ball over like Ohio State did at the beginning of that game. Even then, Rutgers could not capitalize in the red zone. Iowa has to keep that going, maybe score a couple points, maybe get a special team score or a defensive score. I like Iowa in that one. Then we have the second game of the week. We have Ole Miss at Georgia. And quite frankly, I don't really buy into Ole Miss that much at all. Jackson Dart had a great game against Texas A&M. They're starting to get it going. Quinshon Judkins is looking great for Ole Miss, but I like Georgia just to get it done here. They have not missed a beat without Brock Bowers. They've found some new playmakers. Lad McConkey finally starting to get going. Ra Thomas is out there as well. I like Carson Beck to just keep playing a clean game, and this Georgia defense will do enough to stop this Ole Miss offense. You know, people are saying this is offense versus offense, but honestly, I don't know if Ole Miss can keep up. This Ole Miss defense is not that good. I like Georgia to win that one, especially at home in the raucous environment there. Duke at North Carolina, and this spread is wider than I thought it would be. About 11 points for North Carolina right now. I like North Carolina to win. See what happens. Drake May and folks to bounce back after those two brutal losses. They beat Campbell last week, but that's not really the level of competition that Duke's going to bring this week. Rivalry game here. We'll see what happens, but I like North Carolina to win either way there. Then Texas at TCU. I think this is a bit of a trap spot for Texas. We'll see what they're running at quarterback. Malik Murphy was less than to be desired, to say the least, in that second half and the start of the fourth quarter against Kansas State in that one. TCU, not having a great season, but these teams that are about 500, a little below 500, need to make a bowl game. And then you have got the fans showing up, Not a storied program, TCU, but they did make the national championship last year. I think the fans will be out for this one. I like TCU to keep it very close. This could be a trap spot. Maybe Texas will have to bring out Arch Manning to close it out. I like Texas to win barely just because of all the talent they have. Xavier Worthy, maybe he catches a bomb downfield to win it for them. We'll see. This TCU defense has been not great this season. And I like Texas to take advantage of that, even though their offense is not the same without Ewers. So I like TCU to keep it close. Fourth quarter game here in the kind of hangover spot for Texas after they were surprised by K-State. But Texas to win on the road in a tough environment there. And Florida at LSU, keeping it simple. Florida's just not a very good football team. Only 3-point favorites against Arkansas. Could they have made the field goal to win that game? Yes. But there was kind of a weird sequence that even allowed them to get that kick. Then they were just dominated in overtime. Florida's not very good. If you look at their schedule, it's kind of brutal here. You've got at LSU, another ranked opponent next week, and then Florida State at home. We'll see what they can do, but this seems to be a 5-7 season. I like Daniels, Malik Neighbors, and co. to get a big bounce-back win here. Then, this is on the Friday, got a big Mountain West game. Wyoming at UNLV, and the spread's pretty tight on this one. I like Wyoming, but quite frankly, I don't really know what to pick here. Both of these teams have been pretty fraudulent over the course of the season. Wyoming, of course, lost that brutal one at Air Force, and then also to Boise State, so they're kind of on a downward slide right now. But I like Wyoming on the road here. UNLV obviously lost to Michigan and then to Fresno in a tight one there. They're on the bounce back. I could see this one going either way, but I like Paisley and the boys to get it done there. Then USC at Oregon, keeping it simple. The defensive coordinator change is not going to kick in this week for USC. Oregon's a 16-point favorite, and I'm buying in. I like Oregon to win this one. Late night, we'll see how many of you guys stay up for this one. Pac-12 after dark, if it's in the Coliseum, maybe I have a different answer, but I like Oregon to get it done. Their offense has just picked apart all the competition they've had. I like Bo Nix and co here, Bucky Irving to get it done in Eugene there. So, thank you for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe and comment your predictions below.